Now is Republican Congressman Mark Green. So, Congressman, should we be doing something beyond just tightening economic sanctions?
Well, thanks, David, for having me on the show. You know, as far as Saudi Arabia goes, this is an act of war. I mean, they attacked a sovereign nation. And for the rest of the world, this is an attack on our economic stability. And I believe, you know, I'm very supportive of the president ramping up, maxing out the sanctions on Iran. And I think the rest of the world needs to join us in that effort. But I also believe that not responding would be a bad idea. It would embolden Iran. I mean, very clearly they continue to ratchet this up in an attempt to leverage the world against us and our sanctions. So not responding would be a bad idea.
But just to follow up specifically, does that mean that we should be doing something more than just economic sanctions?
I think the president's going to make the right decision, and I trust the decision that he makes in terms of whether or not to get kinetic in this.
Okay, kind of a non-answer, but we'll...
Yeah, a non-answer, but I'm going to ask you, hopefully you have some insider scoop about next week. You have the United Nations General Assembly that's occurring, and the Minister of Finance as well, Foreign Minister, sorry, and the President have not received their visas to enter the United States. Are you hearing anything about that? And what kind of situation could this prevail if you have the president of Iran stepping on U.S. soil after this?
Yeah, I haven't heard. There's no talk about that in the halls of Congress right now. No one's mentioning that. Clearly, it's very concerning for us to have them come here, but the United States has allowed the United Nations to be here on our soil, so we have to participate in those agreements and allow those individuals like the president of Iran to come here when they need to or want to.
Congressman, this is Gary Kalbaum. Iran knows that we know that they did what they did, which means that they're going to do something else. I know we talk that we will do something if they do, but are we actually ready to amp this thing up, which means attack something over there, which will escalate things over there? Are we ready for that?
We absolutely have the capability on the ground. I went to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dunford, and asked him several weeks ago, are we prepared if the Iranians escalate this? And he said, absolutely. We have the assets on the ground. We have the capability to respond in the region. We can do a lot. And you've heard the president's rhetoric about that. We're ready. So.
Congressman, it's Carol Roth. So building on that, what is that, so to speak, red line? What needs to happen in order for us to join in? Because right now, it's not our fight to fight. This is between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So what is it that's going to take to pull us in? Because unfortunately, I feel like that's Iran's endgame here.
You know, they've made it very clear from Iran, they've said we can hurt Americans who are in the region. They've said that. I think when there's one American soldier injured, this president has made it clear he will not tolerate that. And if they hurt one American, you can bet there'll be a kinetic response from this president.
Congressman, it's Scott Martin. Let's stay on Saudi Arabia. What can we expect from them going forward as far as help if things do escalate, as Gary pointed out, as they probably will with Iran? I mean, and also, what can we expect from Saudi Arabia going forward with respect to their own oil fields? I mean, it's a very rich country, yet they can't protect such a very important element of their economy. I mean, it seems kind of interesting. They're not the greatest actor, by the way, in the Middle East. So, what can we expect with them going forward as to how to prevent this stuff and get things better?
What you're really getting into is the entire Middle East and what's happening in the Middle East. What's happening is an emergence of a bipolar situation where there's this Iranian axis and this Saudi, Jordan, Israel. Interestingly enough, Israel is a part of that axis, that bipolar axis that's forming. And what's very concerning is typically you look back in history, whenever either a region or globally the world went bipolar, I genuinely feel that that's when it became most unstable. Now, there are political theorists out there who say bipolarity gives stability, but I don't think so. So I'm very concerned about this sort of alignment that's happening in the Middle East and how other countries are stepping up to either side with Saudi Arabia, the Sunni, or side with the Shia side in Iran. Very concerning. And I think you now see cooperation even between Israel and the kingdom sharing intelligence information. I mean, this is an unprecedented point in history, and so we need to be very careful. I believe the president's methodical process and measured responses have been very good and very solid. So
another quick question about Saudi Arabia, though. They didn't apparently have these Patriot missile defenses around the oil field that was hit. I mean, with all their hundreds of billions of dollars, they can't buy Patriot missile defenses from us and surround these areas? I mean, is that being discussed with the Saudi Arabians?
I am confident that those conversations are happening in the go forward, and I anticipate that they'll be better prepared next time.
All right. Congressman Mark Green, always a pleasure to see you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you for
David.
being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.